$20 games left on the season for the Philadelphia 76ers, and I'm not so sure how I felt about having the conversation that we are going to have today about, are they more destined for the play-in tournament? Welcome to the PHLY Sixers. I don't know, man. Podcast live from the Xfinity Lounge.
It's been a couple of long nights, guys. All right, give us some
back-to-backs, teams playing awful. Just
I don't
morale
know.
Is low around here.
I didn't expect to play.
At least you had the right company, Devon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Welcome to the PHLY Sixers podcast, live from the Xfinity Lounge, along with Derek Kyle. I'm Devon Bree, the president of basketball operations, and all of you. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Thursday. Make sure you hit the like button, like and subscribe to the show. Leave a comment, spread the word, tell a friend to tell another friend that we are here for 3 p.m. shows and certainly for the pre and post. The question is, how many pre and post will we have after the final regular season game? What will that pre and post look like? Is it more of a play-in, or is it going to be getting ready for a first round matchup? Are they the 6 seed, the 5 seed? We need to talk about where they
Playoffs.
are, how they get there, if they get there at all. Are they more destined for the play-in? And we're going to take a look at the standings. We're going to have a peek at what the record is head-to-head with the teams that are certainly surrounding them, from Toronto directly in front of them in the standings at position number 5. And then behind them, Orlando, Atlanta, Charlotte, Miami, all of those teams. And just Charlotte is the one that has the most wins consecutively, and not just the Eastern Conference, in the NBA right now in the row, where they have now won 6 games in a row, coming off of a really good win over the Boston Celtics on Wednesday night, which was the second night of a back-to-back for the Hornets. And they went into the TD Garden and handled their business. Them. So that's what we're going to do here today. We also have a few other things that we would like to do as we hang out with you here this afternoon. Some of our sponsored segments that we have here for you. So stay tuned, buckle up. We are ready to roll here on the show. So, Derek, you just saw the stuff up close and personal. You saw a 49-point deficit to the San Antonio Spurs, a nail-biter over the Utah Jazz, VJ Edgecombe getting hurt, falling on his tailbone. And how's your morale just right now about this basketball team?
Not great, Devon.
Yeah.
So
20 games left.
I mean, look, when you look up there and you're starting Watford, and you're starting Barlow, and you got a huge Jabari Walker game, but it feels very much like last year. And none of us really want to relive that, especially when at least last year you were trotting out lineups like that, and we were hoping that they lose. This is very much the complete opposite of it. You hope that, Kelly's illness resolves quickly, that VJ isn't out for that long, that Joel, that 3-game initial out window that they gave us, he doesn't need much more than that, so we can get back to actually watching real basketball. But it is this is a team that when you remove 4 of the 5 best players, just does not have the depth, does not have the creation, does not have the shooting to really do anything well on a consistent basis. And you end up just hoping. In last night's case, you hope that the team that they're playing does not want to win and is missing 3 of their best players as well. Then you have a shot to win. Outside of that, I don't really know how they're going to scratch out wins until they get their good players back. And, it is, last night, Maxey was not great last night. I'm not even sure if Maxey was good last night. But, this...
I think he was mid. I don't think he was bad, but definitely wasn't
He wasn't
great.
actively bad. But this is very much like we talked about last year, where that is not an environment where you can evaluate him in any meaningful context. You're just hoping he catches a heater so you have watchable basketball for a couple of minutes and a chance to win.
It has been very discouraging to watch this, particularly as teams that are under them in the standings are beginning to or have already sustained a bit of momentum. So I mean, Charlotte is the team that everyone's looking at right now. It's not just that they've won games. They've won 6 in a row by 15 plus. Like, they are kicking the crap out of teams.
And that resurgence started like back in the beginning of January. Like, they've been playing good basketball for a long time.
The Sixers were part of that, right? The Sixers went down there.
40,
and there was
50 points.
Yeah.
The weird, snow situation and travel issues. And they get there and they just get absolutely blitzed by Charlotte. And in hindsight, maybe it's not as bad of a loss just to lose to them.
I was going to say.
Just to lose to them. I'm not saying the performance was still just horrendous, right? We're not going to make excuses for that. But so you look at a team like Charlotte, they're rising up the standings. They're getting closer to, battling Orlando and Miami for those, play-in spots. I think Atlanta is looking pretty good right now. And certainly those guys play on Saturday.
They have identical records, Charlotte and Atlanta.
Yeah, and so Atlanta gets Kuminga at the deadline. He has looked absolutely fantastic since joining them. And they've had the Sixers number all year, and not just all year. As Devon had to gently point out to me when I was questioning him the one day, the Hawks are on a long winning streak against the Sixers dating back a couple seasons now. So you have these teams that are not that far back. Of course, there's also the Magic. There's also the Heat, 2 teams that are playoff caliber teams that are lurking there or kind of up and down just like the Sixers are, but are slightly healthier in both cases. And you look at it and you say, the Sixers should be able to hold those teams off. I do think when they are whole, they're better than those teams, but they have not had the guys.
That's the problem.
And even if Joel comes back in this, next week or so, how long does he stay on the floor? How long can you trust him to? And the guarantee is that Paul is still out another 20 calendar days. He cannot return until the 25th. That is a long time.
That's what, 11 games?
I'd have to go and check. We probably should know that by now. I should probably have like another number counter in the background for the Paul George suspension.
Paul George watch.
They're not in a good place though. So without Paul, the Joel uncertainty just looms even larger because at least with Paul out there,
10 games.
You get his defense, you get his shooting, he opens things up for people. There are not a lot of good things to point to right now. And VJ hurting his tailbone just added insult to added injury to almost literal insult on the floor. Hopefully VJ is able to get back, if not on Saturday, then early next week. Because without him, boy, it is Maxey against the world basically every night right now.
So let's take a look at the standings in the Eastern Conference and where things are right now. With the Miami Heat and the Orlando Magic directly behind the Philadelphia 76ers. The Toronto Raptors currently hold a 1.5 games over the Philadelphia 76ers, even though the Sixers won. On Wednesday night, Toronto was idle, so they pick up a half a game. Behind them, Orlando, also idle. Sixers pick up another half game on them. They are a full game ahead of both Orlando and Miami, who sit a full game back of the Philadelphia 76ers. This is where things get interesting, as Kyle and Derek and I have just talked about. I saw Theo say, oh, by the way, Charlotte is not just good. They're awesome right now.
They're cooking.
They have won 6 games in a row. They are 2.5 games back of the Sixers. Again, they have the identical record of the Atlanta Hawks.
Well, I was going to say, Reardon in the chat just mentioned they are 19-9 since January 1st. The Sixers over that span are 17-14. So when you're looking at the Sixers and the Sixers are 2.5 games up on the Hornets, if these two teams keep playing like this, they can make up that ground. That is not insurmountable at all.
As we talk about the hottest team in the NBA in terms of winning streak is the Charlotte Hornets. You want to know who the second hottest team in the NBA is?
Who's that, Devon?
The Atlanta Hawks have won 5 games in a row, and you see them on Saturday in Atlanta. And Atlanta has won, as Kyle mentioned, 8 games in a row over the Philadelphia 76ers. So, not great. Are they in danger now is our question of falling out of the top 6 and more into the positioning of the play-in tournament where you can win. We saw that happen a few seasons ago where they locked in the 7th seed and faced the New York Knicks and made that a really, really fun series. They ultimately lost it. But having that 5 or 6 seed that they've had for quite some time now, these teams behind them are dangerous. So we are at a position of the year with 20 games left where they better watch out because there are a lot of road games and you play some pretty good teams and you go on a West Coast trip one final time for the Sixers before things lock in as far as the postseason goes. So let's take a look at where they are right now with these other teams. Let's start off with the Toronto Raptors and where they are, because this one is the easiest one. They're done playing the Toronto Raptors.
Mm-hmm.
They are tied 2-2 on the season. Both teams won. That's finished. Tiebreaker goes to other things, not just the head-to-head after that. 35-26 are the Raptors. The Sixers 34-28. Then we can move into the Orlando Magic because the Raptors, that's wrapped up. This is where we are. Philly Sheriff says play-in incoming. The Orlando Magic, the season series is also done. The Sixers have won 2 of the 3 games against the Orlando Magic. The one loss that they had, that's where Orlando blew their doors off.
The Anthony Black coming out party,
exactly.
Man, on Thanksgiving week.
Right. So Orlando has taken care of business of one time against the Sixers. Sixers have their number there. So any tie-breaking situation, again, that goes to the 76ers because of their head-to-head matchup. As we look at that, they are currently 32-28 on the season. They have won their 6 of their last 10 on the campaign. The Miami Heat, 33-29. Also, Philadelphia, 1 game ahead of the Miami Heat. They have 1 more game left to play. They have split already March 30th. The Sixers are in Miami to take on the Miami Heat. They have played some really good basketball also. They've had some lulls here and there, but for the most part, they have been surging and playing some solid basketball. They have won their last 2, 6 of their last 10. This is where we go to the more scarier 2 teams that they have, the Charlotte Hornets. Right now, Charlotte and the Sixers have played twice. The one that we remember is the blowout, the spanking that they had in Charlotte, the weather, as Kyle pointed out, with the travel, and Charlotte. Sixers won the 2nd game of the season over the Hornets after beating.
That was a fun game. VJ played really well in that one. Maxey was cooking.
That was obviously the home opener.
Yes.
Against the Charlotte Hornets. And we were like, yeah, you're supposed to beat Charlotte right away. I think we also said on the 26th of January, yeah, you should still beat Charlotte. That's a different team now. Yeah. And they see the Sixers and host the Sixers on the 28th at the end of this month in Charlotte, where that arena is buzzing, no pun intended.
It was a good pun, though.
But
it was a good pun.
And I was talking to one of my best friends because his son has taken LaMelo Ball, taken a liking to the Charlotte Hornets, so he's forced to watch a lot of their games. And he's like, listen, watching it from home and hearing that arena go nuts, it's real down there. Of how that goes with the Charlotte Hornets.
Look, they've been desperate for a good team. So if I was them, I'd be getting excited too. They've been playing their butts off.
He said that they were talking about possibly going down there for that game to watch him for the Sixers, the Hornets for his son. And he said, the tickets are nuts. So they're hot. Finally, the Atlanta Hawks. 32-21. Identical record as the Charlotte Hornets. And as we have said,
season series is over. Baby.
It is already done. And they have 1 more. And CJ McCollum has looked good after getting off to the poor start that he had, where Atlanta fans were like, get this guy off my team. What did they trade for? He has looked really good. And then the Jonathan Kuminga piece, adding him and looking, as I said to Kyle last night, Derek, looking like prime Paul George. And they already have the Sixers number. And they host them on Saturday, currently riding a 5-game winning streak at the moment. They are the scariest ones, though, Kyle. Look, the ones that are directly behind you, Orlando and Miami, it is what it is. But the Charlotte-Atlanta piece of it all is the scariest part, it seems, right now, just because the momentum that they are picking up and building, and certainly what we saw last with the Hornets and defeating the Sixers in the way that they did, and Atlanta just simply having their number.
I'll give you a little bit of good news on this front. The Sixers do have an easier schedule the rest of the way than Charlotte, Miami, and Orlando. Now, we're talking about
it's
not
like
much of a difference.
Yeah.
They're all kind of around the 500 mark in terms of their remaining strength of schedule. Charlotte's is about 5-14 win percentage remaining. They have matchups with San Antonio, the Knicks, couple against the Wolves, 1 against the Nuggets, 2 against the Lakers. Or I got that wrong. I was reading the Houston Rockets. They're right next to it. They have the Pistons, the Spurs, 2 against the Celtics, 2 against the Knicks, 1 against the Wolves, 2 against the Suns. Those are some of their toughest games remaining. Obviously, the Sixers game is the most consequential one for our purposes. The Hawks are the only team in that group that has an easier schedule than the Sixers, and it's by 1/1000th of a win percentage point. So it's not that meaningful. The truth is, when you play in the Eastern Conference, your strength of schedule is not going to be particularly difficult on paper. I think the thing that I would focus on is they still have the matchup with Miami. They still play Atlanta this weekend. They still play Charlotte at the end of March. And so those are 3, essentially, like in soccer, they would call these 6-point games, right? Where it's not just that you can get a win, it's that you can take one from somebody else that you're jockeying with in the standings. So these are games that count double. And with tiebreakers on the line and a couple of those, they are absolutely massive in the event that the Sixers continue to play the way they are. And I think it was Reardon brought it up in the chat. When Joel has played this year, they're on like a 52 win pace.
Also, shout out, hat tip to Ash Monroe, who's the king of this.
Yeah. Thank you to Ash.
Yep.
When Joel has not played, they're on like a 36 or 37 win pace as a team. So it is a dramatic difference when he's out there. That's not to say I don't want to position this as, boy, it's Joel's out there and he's the only guy who's worth anything. Like, it helps Maxey, but Maxey helps Joel, and Joel helps VJ, and VJ helps Joel. Like, it's a synergistic relationship, but it just doesn't work anywhere near as well without Joel on the floor. So we can get into, we're talking about the schedule, the matchups, all these other things. The number one thing that this all hinges on is how many games is Joel on the floor for? And they still have a bunch of back-to-backs. In fact, they have 2 next week, I believe, and then still a couple more. I think they have,
3 more?
3 more after next week, perhaps? 3 or 4 more?
I'll just double check.
I think it was 5 coming out of the break, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So now they're down to 4. So they have 2 next week and then 2 after that. So we're expecting he'll miss at least 4 more games. That's a problem. Joel's availability is the single most important factor until the end of the regular season. Once they get him through to the playoffs, assuming they make it, we can get a lot more specialized with the matchups and everything else. But
4 more back-to-back.
Okay. He is the biggest swing factor now. He's been the biggest swing factor always. And I wish we could sit here with any confidence and I could sit here and say, hey, I think he's going to play X amount of games. I think that
we did that.
I think that
don't listen to
we're
us
hearing that his knee is better. Well, his knee got better, and then his shin was hurt, and then all right, the shin is good enough to play, and now it's so everything that can go wrong has gone wrong with him over the years. You just have to manage it as best you can and hope that the Kellys, the VJs of the world are able to get back up to speed. I think Kelly at minimum will play Saturday. I'd be shocked if he missed another game with an illness. VJ, they might be a little more cautious with, but Joel, my guy, get back on the floor, buddy, because they need you.
No, I think 2 quick things before we go to break. You touched on it, but the strength of schedule, nobody has a really tough strength of schedule among this group, and nobody has a really easy one. I don't think it's a huge, meaningful difference. A lot of it's going to come down to which teams that you're playing care on that given night and during that portion of the schedule, and which are resting players and whatnot. The other thing is a lot of these, like the record with Embiid, a huge part of that, as it has been for the last 10 years. Joel Embiid's really important to what they do, but also a lot of the games that Joel has missed, Paul has been out as well, and a lot of the games that Joel has played, at least one other of the stars has been with them. You just can't navigate having 2 or even right now 3 of your 4 stars out. It's completely untenable. So you really need, yes, you need Joel back. You need him to play as much as possible, but you really need to find a way to just get through to March 25th when hopefully Paul comes back and he's ready to go right from the jump, because it really is the combination of both Joe and Paul, and now VJ being out at the same time. It's just a perfect storm of nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that those other teams have is players that are able to play, and the Sixers do not have that right now, and that's why we were feeling pretty good about where they were, maybe 5 games ahead of, let's say, Orlando and Miami, because they were directly behind them, still fighting. We were more worried about, can you catch Toronto for that 5th seed. Now it's, hey, you might be able to catch Toronto, but those other teams are going to pass both of you because of how things are being played out right now. So the availability is much better for those 4 teams that we talked about behind the Sixers. On the other side, let's take a look at the Sixers schedule and where things are right now. We don't have to go through a win-losses like it's the Eagles schedule. Kind of is because of the 20 games left.
That much
It's closer.
As a football season with the 20 games left.
The final sprint.
It's a final sprint, as Kyle just said. And we just want to show it to you, converse about it. And we don't know all of the games outside of the strength of schedule that Kyle pointed out for the other 4 teams. But we want to show you what the Sixers have left so you can get an idea of why we're having this specific conversation today after they after they squeak by the Utah Jazz on Wednesday night.
They beat up my desire to watch basketball last night.
When we come back, we'll give you the Sixers schedule, talk through it more about, are they in, are they a play-in, or are they a top 6 seed? Marcus Blackstock says, if they get into the play-in or drop into the play-in, they are not a playoff team. Well, I'd imagine a lot of you feel that way. Let's talk through it right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Guys, you ever have one of those days where you're moving nonstop, you realize, I forgot to eat? It happens to me way more than I'd like to admit. The Sixers have back-to-backs. We're on the move. That's why I've been loving what Wawa is bringing to the table right now. They have $5 deals all day. So I know anytime I'm stepping into a Wawa, there's a great deal for me. You've heard about the $5 big breakfast deal. I can get a sizzly. I love the bacon, egg, and cheese on a croissant, a hash brown, and any size coffee, hot or iced, all for $5. It gets me going. That's from 5 to 11 every single day. But guess what? The deals don't stop there. $5 for their roasted or crispy chicken sandwiches made your way. Plus, they've got a new teriyaki recipe for a limited time that I've heard is amazing. Real food, real value, and it's built for busy days. Start your day strong. Limited time. Exclusions apply. See Wawa.com for details. You guys know it. I tell you all the time. You gotta have a Wawa.
All right, team, do you really want to see VJ Edgecombe diving into the stands, kicking a lady in their face? Not really, but sometimes it happens. And when it does, you want to protect your stars. And that goes the same with your businesses. You have to apply that to your business. And for small and mid-sized businesses, the great place to go is Togo. Competing with bigger companies isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. With competition heating up, you can't afford to fall behind. AI goes way beyond ChatGPT, and it gets overwhelming pretty fast. That's why having a trusted guide like Togo matters. Instead of buying expensive AI tools, Togo helps you build exactly what you need at a fraction of a cost. Well, with Togo here, operations, they make sure they streamline by handling customer service, accounting, and much, much more. Every engagement starts with the free process mapping, and Togo doesn't bill you a dime until real work begins. Programs start as low as $1,000 a month and are built to scale without breaking the bank. Visit harnesstogo.com and mention PHLY for a free operational assessment. Back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, Derek, Kyle, Devon, Bree, all of you, thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure you hit the like button, like and subscribe to the show. Leave a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Let us know how you feel about your basketball team, especially on this topic of the play-in and where they currently are. We also, allphly.com. Go become a diehard member, allphly.com. And we have a special thing coming up here once again here at the PHLY Network. St. Patty's Day. Got to tell you about some new gear that we have at our merch store at the PHLY merch store. The St. Patty's Day merchandise that we have. Great shirts, as always, at ALLCITY. Go check it out. Go get it. Get ready as you're, what are you just the bar hopping that is happening? Make sure you
I might be too washed for bar hopping on St. Patrick's Day. That's a young man's game.
That's a 20s guy thing. Yeah,
definitely. Even early 30s, but I think I have, the ship has sailed, but for the people who it has not sailed for, Godspeed out there.
Yes.
I also like drunk.
Guinnesses for me.
I don't have the tolerance for other drunk people. It's even if I could do it, I just don't have the tolerance of dealing with you anymore.
Spoken like a true cranky old man.
So head to our merch store at allphly.com. Hit the merch button, drop down, and check out our St. Patty's Day gear. It's pretty cool. You know, of course, the green is a great color. A little Kelly green there. Got some great designs there on the shirts. Go have at it. AllPHLY.com. Get yourself a cool St. Patty's Day shirt as you're hanging out. The weather's improving too, so you can don your shirt. You just go out there.
I'm so excited for that.
It's fantastic.
For the weather, not for St. Pat.
I'm glad it's green because my Irish grandmother didn't let anyone in her house on St. Patrick's Day who wore orange because those are the Protestant colors. That was not accepted in our house growing up.
Oh, man. All right. Let's get to the Sixers side of things in the schedule. Continue to see what all of you say there in the chat. We'll highlight some of the things that you guys have. It's funny because SB Cole says what's crazy is the other teams see the Sixers on the schedule and they think that's an easy win at this point of the year. Well, San Antonio certainly thought so on Tuesday night after they hung one on them, man. Goodness gracious. So bad. Get a good one tonight with the Spurs. Spurs-Pistons rematch from last week.
Man, they played those 2 in quick succession.
Yeah.
Nothing all year, and then bam, bam.
Yeah, that was
Could be a big MVP race game.
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Keep an eye on that one.
That's a good one. All right, let's get to the Sixers side of things as far as the schedule goes and what they have. So coming up on Saturday, as we've talked about, the Atlanta Hawks and their 8-game winning streak currently over the 76ers. Still wild to say. They host the Sixers 6 p.m., so we'll be with you at 5:30, and that'll be right here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show. All 4 of us will be with you on Saturday, so if you're hanging around the house doing some weekend chores or whatever, maybe you're out and you say, you know what, the game is coming on, turn them on in the bar. PHLY Sixers podcast at 5:30 for the pregame. Then Sunday off, Monday. So it's a busy week, everybody. You see it. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. We do not have a 3 p.m. show next week because we've got 5 games next week. And Kyle's
do these schedule makers ever, I love how they've talked so much about, we've cut down on the back-to-backs and what is it, the 18 and 30 you can't play. Then you give a team 5 games in a week and it's like, was there any thought put into this at all? I swear, most of these problems are solved. You start the season like a week and a half or 2 weeks early and just space them out a little bit. Instead, everyone's just like, no, let's suffer through this. Let's make the product worse. Let's pack all these games in at once, and everyone will be unhappy with it, from the players to the people watching at home to the people attending the games. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
Hopefully they get some wins in here.
Yep. Absolutely. So with that, all right, so it's Monday in Cleveland. First time we see the new look Cleveland Cavaliers with James Harden, Dennis Schroeder, Keon Ellis, all playing minutes for that team. So we'll see what they look like. The Memphis Grizzlies, the back-to-back, that will be a home game against the Memphis Grizzlies. And as we talk about a team that is at the bottom of the NBA, they are not good either. And I looked at I think it was yesterday, I looked at their injury report.
Yeah.
Ty Jerome, Scottie Pippen Jr., Cedric Coward, all of these guys nobody's playing. And oh, by the way, Zach Edey just had season-ending surgery. So he's finishing off the rest of the year on the bench. They're not good. We'll get to the whole point of who they need to win against and all that. Thursday, Pistons, top of the Eastern Conference. Need I say more? At this point, hopefully Joel Embiid is back. Kelly Oubre, VJ Edgecombe. Saturday, home, back-to-back, Saturday, Sunday, 2 winnable games. The Brooklyn Nets and the Portland Trail Blazers in town to take on the Sixers. So as we look at these 6 games, Derek, again, not really asking for a win and loss situation here, but when we do have a stretch of games like this, we do say to each other, man, they got to win three of those. You know what I mean? So
I think there are 2 must-wins.
2 must-wins in there. And I would say a third one has to be the Portland Trail Blazers, even though they are better than those other 2 teams.
They're better, and that's a back-to-back, too. So
I know. But hopefully Joel Embiid is back. He can play in one of them. Maybe it's the Portland game you have him, so you can play against those guys and lock that one in after taking on the Brooklyn Nets. But got to win a couple of those games this week.
No, I mean, the Memphis and the Brooklyn ones, you have to win. Those are the two that you circle on the calendar and say those have got to be wins, especially because that gives you a little more time to get VJ back, to get Joel back. Certainly Kelly, by that point, you expect to be back. We're talking early middle next week. So hopefully you get some of your main players back. But like Hawks and Cavs, especially with how much uncertainty there is in the roster, like you expect those are probably not going to be wins. And you'd be pretty surprised if they were. So yeah, you come in there having lost 4 out of 5 coming into that Memphis game, you have to get that one. That's a absolute no-brainer.
Especially with Detroit right after that.
I think the Hawks, depending on who you get back, is a winnable game because the game out of the All-Star break was not great, but was at least competitive. The other two were barn burner type games where they could have gone either way. Granted, it was with a healthier Sixers team where I think the one was Paul George had his season high at the time with 35,
7 threes.
if I remember correctly. Played really well in that game, and he will not be available on Saturday night. That I can guarantee you. But if you can get Joel back, potentially, if you could get Kelly Oubre back, potentially, even if VJ sits, I think that's a game that you at least have a chance in. Cleveland, I would say I'm a lot more dubious. They have not matched up well with them this year. They've played well since they made the Harden trade. And the other trades too, like I think it's right to bring up the other depth pieces. Like Keon Ellis was a good pickup for them, a guy who can just fill multiple gaps depending on the lineup, is a sturdy defender on a team that has the backline defense and maybe just needs to shore up the perimeter-based stuff. So I think he's been good there. So that's going to be a tough one on the road. See how that goes. Detroit, I don't have high expectations for. So for me, you shoot for 3-3. You obviously want to play better than that because I think Maxey pointed out in the locker room last night, they're 4-4 following the break. I don't think 500 is going to cut it to get them to the end of the regular season without falling into the play-in. So they're going to have to try to win one of these games that's more of a, not feels like a loss is too strong, but more of a coin flip type of game.
Yep.
So take care of your business, beat the teams that you're supposed to, and try to get at least one of the other.
Because it always balances out where you just say, hey, you know what? Sometimes the teams, as was pointed out in the chat, they feel like the Sixers are a guaranteed win on their schedule. But sometimes you just need to win a few of those others. When we talked about their road trip where we didn't expect them to beat the Minnesota Timberwolves in that one, they did. And you need one of those in there somewhere. At minimum, you hope it's 3-3. But if you can get 4-2 out of that 6-game stretch, that would be fantastic. And part of the reason why I wanted to bring this up to you guys is because obviously you guys see the schedule right behind us here, 34 and 28. If you only get 3, well, if you get 3 and you're looking at a 37 and 31, you're still hovering right around there, right? Thank you. Even though I'm tired, I can do that part. But we also said, Derek and I agreed that it was a 14-14, I think it was. The rest of the way when we did the predictions, you went about 16-12 for them. This is part of what we were talking about. We didn't expect VJ Edgecombe to be down and certainly Kelly Oubre to miss some time due to this illness, but Joel Embiid here and there missing a couple of games. That's it. They need to stay. Kyle just said it. I don't know if 500 is going to do the job now. Where we were saying 44 should do it, your 46 is probably that number that we need to focus on now because of the way these other teams are playing.
Well, but that 46 was when Kyle thought Embiid was playing.
Yeah, I
22 out of 28.
But I'm just saying
I was
that's
trying to
probably
be
the goal.
in my optimist mode and be like, hey,
I'm saying that's the
Joel's
goal
going to
number,
be back.
not
He's going to play
44.
well.
Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying. So the path there is they got to win 12 of the final 20. And it's too tough to call. Like, it's so hard to do this because it all kind of hinges on one guy and one guy who is the least reliable health guy on the team. And it drives, and it's, again, I'm not trying to disparage Joel. It is what it is. That's who he is. That's what he's shown himself to be. There are winnable games throughout this schedule till the end of the year. The Memphis game, the Brooklyn game. Late in the year, you got like Washington, Indiana, Milwaukee. Like, these are teams that Presumably.
Yeah,
Maybe Milwaukee's the only one that you're like, Giannis might still be playing because they don't have absolutely any idea what they're doing. But there are winnable games on the schedule. They get Utah again as part of that West Coast road trip. Presumably you win that one. But aside from that, it is a lot of like playoff caliber or just straight up playoff teams. You have to go out there and prove that's exactly what you are, or you're going to find yourself where we're talking about playing tournament. And you don't want to be like as high as their ceiling can be as a group. And I do think when they have all been on the floor this year, we've seen flashes of a team that could be dangerous in the playoffs, to the point that we said they could be a contender this year if everything breaks right. You don't want to leave it to the play-in, man. Having to do this in do or die games, even if you're 7-8 and you get 2 chances at it, you do not want to give somebody an opportunity to just bounce you out of the playoffs entirely. You want to be locked in, figure out what your matchup is, travel there early, like do all that, get the week off. You do not want to be messing around with this.
Nope. All right, we're going to take our break here. When we come back, Bree has the rest of the schedule. We have some news and notes on the second side of the final break, and we'll close things out here on the show. Interesting conversation. Didn't expect to be here, but this is sports. This is basketball. Are the Sixers more destined to become a playoff team at this stage of the season? We're discussing it. We're breaking it down, looking at the schedule as well, and talking about the other squads that they have to face and hold off right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Guys, managing your money doesn't have to be a struggle this year. One of my goals for the year is to, we are coming up on vacation season. It is starting to get warm. I want to make sure I have enough money set aside to go on all the vacations that I want. And we want to make sure that you set yourself up for financial success this year. And Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool that's designed to make your life easier. My favorite thing about Monarch is how well it shows you exactly where your money's going, so you can make educated decisions on how to manage your finances better. Monarch isn't your average personal finance app. It's built to make you proactive, not just reactive. Monarch gives you automated tracking and clear projections, so you can see that you're on your way to hitting that financial milestone. 8 out of 10 members feel more in control of their finances with Monarch. Set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code PHLY at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code PHLY.
Let me tell you about a local business that's been helping Philly homeowners and businesses to stay pest-free. Evans Pest Control. This isn't some giant national chain. No, they're a family-owned, community-focused pest control company right here in Philadelphia, and they have been earning the trust of everyone's neighborhood for years. Not just Philadelphia, the entire area. Evans Pest Control uses state-of-the-art equipment, safe and effective treatment options, and their techs go through continuous training so they're equipped to handle anything: rodents, insects, termites, all nasty, even bed bugs. You don't want that. They offer priority services and consultations, which is huge when you have a problem with pests. Listen, personal experience, I don't like any unwanted guests. I'm sure you don't either. I trust the guys with my home. They are fantastic. So if you see signs of pests or just want to prevent them before they start, reach out to Evans Pest Control. Visit evanspestmgmt.com to schedule your free consultation. That's Evans Pest Control at evanspestmgmt.com. Back here on the PHLY Sixers podcast, let's take a look at the rest of the Sixers schedule there for the month of March. As we were talking about it, Kyle laid out some of them there, and also into April with the remainder of the game. So after the 6 that we just showed you, Denver, this is the road trip that we were talking about. They still have it. You have 2 winnable games there, but it's still a road trip. That is Denver, Sacramento, and Utah. When we look at that,
that's got to be at least 2.
You got to take 2. You have to take 2 of those. It's a must to take those 2. Then you're inching closer to the return of Paul George, because after that, when you return home, Jared McCain back home, who knows how that's going to look. But Jared McCain will be back on the 23rd of March, and we'll see how it goes. Sixer fans are not happy. They tried to not allow it to overtake them and overtake the conversation and all, but it has. And this is where we are. So with that, OKC, then the return This is when Paul George can return on March 25th against the Chicago Bulls.
The fabled return of Paul George.
You better win that basketball game.
Yes.
Because then you go on the road for 3, but it's not about the third one. It's game 1 and 2 after the Chicago Bulls. We've already talked about it. Charlotte and Miami. You got to take one of those. If you can take 2, great. But you got to take one of those. Right behind the Chicago Bulls game. Then it's Washington. Kyle mentioned it. Got to win that one. Home from Minnesota and Detroit. Detroit again? Home for Minnesota and Detroit. All right, you already beat Minnesota. You showed you can do that. Detroit, we'll see how things play out in a couple of weeks when they take on them. Then they close out the season. San Antonio, Houston, Indiana, all on the road. Back-to-back, Houston, Indiana.
I do not like them having the Spurs and Rockets that late because both of those teams are potentially jockeying for seeding there. San Antonio, in fact, depending on what the Thunder do, that could be a potential play for the 1 seed in the final week. And then Houston just like in the thick of it in the West where a win or 2 here and there can be the difference between the 3rd seed and you're trending toward the play-in. So that's, those are 2 really tough ones in the final week.
Yeah, Houston, Minnesota tied right now in the West. And then Denver's only a game back of them, game and a half. The Lakers behind both Rockets and Timberwolves. So to your point, yes, you're absolutely right. San Antonio 3.5 games back of OKC. So we'll see how that one plays out. Man, looking at that schedule, 20 games, and there are a lot of winnable games there, which is why Kyle went 16-12. Derek and I went 14-14 and still talked about the 6th seed. But you have to do your job. And there's some winnable ones in that one that you hope that they're able to secure, and you hope that they have a decent amount of their players back, if not all of them, for those games from Embiid, George, Oubre, Edgecombe, so they can get a good look at their team, full strength, what nurse rotations need to look like going into the postseason, and that would help for these final games there that they have, especially when Paul George does return on the 25th against the Chicago Bulls. So that's where they are, man. This is your basketball team. This is where they are. And let's see exactly what they do right now, 34-28 on the season, and trying to hold off some of these other teams. Quickly, Orlando, Miami, Toronto, all play tonight. Everyone else that you're worried about is off. So again, that's Orlando, Miami, and Toronto all playing tonight. Orlando's home for Dallas. Miami faces and hosts the Brooklyn Nets. The Minnesota Timberwolves host the Toronto Raptors in Minnesota. So a chance there for the Sixers to, at least with that one, gain a little bit of ground on the Toronto Raptors if Minnesota helps. But if both Minnesota, and Orlando,
you can't trust to do much of anything.
No, you're right.
As you saw in the Sixers game recently,
right.
They're a very talented team, and I think a very dangerous playoff team. But they are a classic, we'll lose a game against a bad team in the regular season type of team.
Yeah. So Orlando, Miami, and Minnesota hosting Toronto. Schedule, just watching those tonight. Even if you don't watch the game, just keep a peek on the score, see what's going on with those groups. Any last thoughts on all of that with the play-in and all that we just went over with the schedule?
No, I do wish that they were finding a way to, I don't want to directly compare the current coach to the previous coach, in part because the previous coach drove me nuts. But scratching out an unexpected win when shorthanded, like the Minnesota game, to be fair, but doing that a little more consistency, we're going to get the end of the year and be like, man, 1 or 2 more games could have made a huge difference. I just don't have a ton of confidence they're going to find ways to win games they shouldn't right now. So get healthy.
Get healthy and maybe never play Andre Drummond another minute the rest of the season because, man, he is checked out.
Bona's playing better.
Yes.
Jabari's playing better. I would much rather go small with Jabari and Barlow than keep trotting Andre Drummond, who hasn't been good at basketball for 2.5 months.
I mean, look, it's one thing to get outplayed by Wemby. Wemby's great. And it's not like Wemby was lighting them up scoring-wise.
No, but he drew 2 fouls on Drummond in 60 seconds.
Drawing fouls. He's drawing pressure, made some kickouts for threes. So it wasn't like it was, oh man, he bludgeoned him. But then the next night when Mo Bamba is dunking on your head to close out the third quarter,
He had
it's
like 3 lobs in like
dude,
2 minutes.
This guy is. Devon and I had an extended conversation during the game where I was like, Mo Bamba is so confusing to me. He's humongous. He's not a terrible athlete. He's got some shooting touch. And he still stinks. Like, what? How is that possible? It seems like all those things can't be true at the same time, and a guy can be that bad. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
And he got a little bit stronger too to hold up to some of the abuse he takes.
He's a mystery to me. Like, seems like a nice enough guy. We covered him pretty briefly, but anyway, he outplayed Drummond in the third quarter, and that was a pretty rough look for Andre, who. Yeah. I think should be a better player than Mo Bamba, but did not accomplish that in the second half of that game. And Nick Nurse looked at him and said, you know what? I'm going small to start the fourth quarter. Enough of this. Yep.
All right, let's take our final break. When we come back, got a lot of news and notes, everybody. One in which we talked about a lot. Is he coming back? Could he be back for Sunday's game against the Sixers? Well, Kyle and I mentioned it briefly on Tuesday that there's a report from Bill Simmons that he's probably coming back on Friday. Now it looks like Jason Tatum is back. What do you guys think about it? He's coming back against the Mavs tomorrow. We're going to talk about that to start off news and notes and a few other things right here. Final segment on the PHLY Sixers podcast.
Guys,
spring is back, baby, and you know what that means. Rita's is back. That's right. It is the sweet sound of Rita's season. All your favorite frozen treats are back and better than ever. I can tell you some of my favorite frozen treats are better. I remember growing up, going to practices, getting out, you're all hot, sweaty, and you're like, man, I want a mango gelati right now. I want a blendini. Nothing hits like that first refreshing Italian ice of the season. Maybe you're a frozen custard person. Smooth, creamy. It's perfect every time. And if you really want to do it right, come on, get the gelati. Mango for me. I just tried that Shamrock cream ice too. Ooh, man, that was delicious. You guys got to get out there and try it. And don't forget to download the Rita's app. New app users get a free small gelati ice or custard with their first purchase. Free happiness waiting for you. Come into Rita's. Make this season the sweetest one yet with ice, custard, and happiness. Treat yourself to a scoop of happiness today. Be cool. Go to Rita's. Learn more at ritasIce.com.
All right, team, got to tell you about the good people from Rothman Orthopedics. If you're feeling a little tough after that workout or maybe that pickup game, I'm back in the mix, everybody. Or just everyday life catching up to you. Don't ignore it. Go with the best. Rothman Orthopedics, they've earned national recognition as the #1 physician practice by Castle Connolly for having the most top doctors in orthopedic care. That means top-tier specialists right here and ready to help. I know for sure with my injuries and my surgeries that they took care of at Rothman. Scheduling is simple. Just visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to book your appointment. Check out Rothman's first scheduler program for access to their VIP scheduling team to get scheduled with the right provider. Tell them I sent you. I'm a VIP. Or tap into Rothman now for immediate virtual access to an orthopedic expert who can point you in the right direction. Don't wait it out. Go to rothmanortho.com/PHLY and take the first step toward feeling like yourself again.
Rita's, baby. Welcome aboard. Devon's
Look at that.
got some on the set with them.
That.
They brought us some in today. Thank you so much for that. To our new friends at Rita's.
That's when you know the weather is really breaking.
Oh, baby. I
Rita
always love...
open.
You can always tell when it's the first day of spring when they're giving out the freebie to everybody because you go buy one and the line is like around the block. It goes crazy. So I love them.
It was a nice surprise,
man. It was a very nice surprise. It was a nice
surprise to have the Ritas in the office here today.
100%.
So got the Ritas.
Shout out to Ritas.
Shout out Ritas. Welcome back to the PHLY Sixers podcast. Real fast, Tom Haberstroh had this thing out there as we talk about the tanking teams when we did our show, talking about the tanks. After last night's game, the bottom 10 tanking teams have now lost 44 games in a row.
So I love Tom. I think he does great work. I think it's a really deceptive way to frame because so I'll go to the page of like all the teams now, right? On Tankathon. When the Nets lost 9 games ago, the teams like Chicago who lost one in a row were winning games.
Right.
So that it wasn't like it started at this date and every single game since they all lost. So I don't consider that 40 whatever consecutive games.
Yeah.
I do think it's a lot of lost games. I understand
Because there are a lot of
what
1, 2,
he's
2.
it's like
yeah.
I don't think that's how a streak works. Personally, I think it would all have to be, but it is a lot of lost games from a lot of bad teams.
Like the Jazz 7 in a row now after last night. Washington 6, Brooklyn 9, Indiana 7. Even looking at Indiana without Halliburton, it's like, man, they lost 7 in a row. It doesn't seem possible. But Pascal Siakam's not playing now.
Yeah.
And Nembhard has sat a few times. So, yeah.
You might legitimately have 3 or 4 teams that don't reach 20 wins.
Yeah. I mean, the Pacers, because of that Zubats trade, they are really incentivized to tank because is it the 5 through 9 range it falls into, they lose it, or is it 6 through 9? I can't remember.
I think it's 5 through 9.
Yeah.
I think.
So,
and then the Jazz have a top 8 protected pick.
Yes. So Indiana is really incentivized to lose every possible game and they are only a half game ahead in the tanking race of the Brooklyn Nets currently. And that's with the game in hand. So that's all that is right now. It's going to be a dastardly race to the finish between some of these teams.
They want one of those top guys, man. I mean, who doesn't? But there you go. All right, let's get to the news and notes. Jason Tatum looks like he's back tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks. Derek, I wanted to start with you because I know that as far as we talked about it, it's like, yo, man, just wait till next year. Players have done this before where they have come back, and they have done so in 10 months. But he's got the best workout. He got the best doctors, best trainers, professional athlete. They prepare him for all of it. They run him through things to tell you if you are good enough to go. He's worked out with the G League team quite a bit, pushed up to the 5-on-5 with the Boston Celtics to ramp up for this opportunity to return. And he's back now. And while Nick Vucevic was their big acquisition in terms of name and helping them out in the front court at the deadline, Jason Tatum is the big pickup if they can give him just whatever Jason Tatum can give them once he's back out there on the floor.
No, it's as an observer, you get worried about stuff like that. Like average return from an Achilles is like 14 to 15 months. And it's not just that he's coming back, it's that he's coming back in the middle of a race. Like, because if this was start of the season, he'd be playing 15, 20 minutes, and then very slowly, we don't have the jar anymore, so I can say it, very slowly ramp up. But you would be really cautious about it. I worry if he comes back, again, already 4 to 5 months earlier than most people comes back, does he have that same kind of, being cautious? Hopefully he does. This is just an injury where like it's real easy to re-injure stuff, and just hope he's being smart. That's it. I understand the urge. Like, what is Jason Tatum at this point? And age-wise, like you don't know.
27.
They've got it's
28.
There's a lot of struggles.
He's 28 and actually just turned 28 this week.
There's a lot of struggles in keeping teams together with the current CBA environment. Obviously, they've made major changes, but they're still really good. I get the urge to come back and try to make something out of a wide open Eastern Conference. Just be smart. It really is concerning.
And I do wonder real fast, Kyle, if he would even be coming back if they weren't the team that they are now versus what we thought they were going to be.
Oh, yeah. If it had been more of let's say they're at like 500 or below 500, they're more jockeying.
There's almost
no
chance he comes back.
Yeah, there'd be no reason to risk it. And this will make it seem like I'm picking on Tom Haberstroh because he happened to post a chart related to this of Achilles tear recoveries taking longer for NBA guys than they used to. And if you look from mid 2000s to about, let's say 2016, 17, guys were taken anywhere between 8 to 12 months, but more of an average of 10. Now it's getting closer to it's 12 months on the low end, 13, 14, 15, depending on the player, depending on the situation. And so there are people who are looking at that and saying, there's a clear case Tatum can and should play because guys used to come back this way. And my counter to that would be Achilles tears were basically a death sentence for careers back in the day. Like when you talk about someone like Kobe Bryant certainly was hugely impacted by his Achilles tendon tear. Brandon Jennings' career went completely off the rails. Wes Matthews Elton Brand is another guy. Now, Elton was still able to be like a productive, good player, but was nowhere close to what he used to be. Boogie Cousins came back, and he was closer to the 12 months, but he was never really the same. And so it is an injury that, because of that, I would think the wisdom would say, take as long as you need to and have to get truly right before you're out there again. That doesn't mean that's what's right for Jason Tatum, right? We're not doctors here. They're looking at him and they're saying, you've checked every box, you've recovered, you did this, you did that. Fine. And I hope for his sake that it works out for him. I would be pretty leery about it if I'm people around the Celtics, whether it's front office, teammates, coaches, whatever. But good on him for putting the work in to be able to get back as quickly as he can. I just hope it's not too soon and that he doesn't impact his longer term career. Because missing a year is one thing, having it turn into a multi-year problem is quite another.
All he needed was to see one where it worked out in their favor, like Kevin Durant. And they've openly talked about how they've communicated about it. There was even, I think it was a text chain going on between Halliburton, Tatum, and someone else of how to recover from it and what the rehab process and all had been like. I remember the first one that I remember was Dominique Wilkins, and it happened. I remember it. He was dribbling, pushed off, and he just started hopping on one foot because he had tore his Achilles. And I was like, what was that? And Dominique was never the same. Now, he was a little bit older, but he was never the same. And Jason Tatum is 28, so he's still at a really, really young age. But he's played a lot of basketball, man.
Yes, he has.
And to your point, he's coming back in this situation. The first games, Dallas, of course, Cleveland, San Antonio, and OKC. Those are not just tune-up games like the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe he's on a minute restriction, and they do that. But it's not about the Celtics. We can make all the jokes how we all hate the Celtics. It's about, Jason, just wait till next year, man. But they feel like he's ready. Most importantly, he feels like he's ready. So we'll see how it looks for Jason Tatum. Good luck to him and his recovery as he now returns to play basketball off of that Achilles injury.
And I'll add one more thing on the longer timeline stuff. Even if you push it into the longer timeline, that's certainly like that doesn't guarantee that anyone's going to be better. So 2 examples there. Kevin Durant is a great example of the positive side of that. He took like a year and a half off when he tore his, came back, and now Kevin Durant is still a high-level all-NBA quality player in his late 30s, and that is a remarkable turnaround from that.
Got some Twitter accounts that'll back that up.
The same year, John Wall tore his Achilles, and he took even longer. He took almost 2 years off, and John Wall after that was basically done. Now,
they didn't
the
really
difference
want
between
him
those
playing.
two, John Wall, very athletically based player, a lot about the speed and the downhill driving, where Kevin Durant, even if you lose 10% explosiveness or whatever, is a humongous shot maker. And so Tatum probably has more in common with Durant and his path to recovery than someone like Wall. But all that is to say, the timeline is not everything. And I just hope that he's making the right decision for not just the right now in this season, but his next 5 to 10 years of his career.
I was just looking quickly because I couldn't remember which one happened first. Klay Thompson tore his ACL in the finals in 2019, and then he tore his Achilles after that. Now, the ACL was first. That was like mine. So where I tore my ACL first, then my Achilles second. Same leg, right leg. But he tore his left and then right. But I don't know, man, because when you do it, just speaking from experience, when you rehab the one side, they also keep making sure you strengthen the other side. So there are nothing that gets affected where one is weaker than the other. And just because you fix the right one, now something happens with the left. They know that. So I'm not breaking any news to any of them, but just talking about my experience. And he's doing so in this high pressure situation. So good luck to him. Good luck to him. I immediately thought about Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson because they were the more recent ones that we think about. I saw, was it Isaiah Jackson, I think it was, and James Wiseman for the Indiana Pacers last year. Jackson has come back, but he took the whole year off. And so we'll see. But that's big NBA news. If he's right and he's coming into a situation where Jaylen Brown has been an MVP candidate, how does he fit into the role of what they want him to do with the Boston Celtics? Let's head to overtime here on this Thursday at allphly.com. Thanks on the television side. We'll see you on Saturday, 5:30 for the pregame coverage of Sixers Hawks right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. Overtime right here on the PHLY Sixers podcast for everybody here. So, all right, next news and notes that we get to here. It's another injury-related return. Trae Young. Thought he was out for the entire year. He's making his debut with the Washington Wizards tonight for the new-look Washington Wizards. No Anthony Davis. He's still out. But Trae Young will play tonight against the Utah Jazz. Jazz on the second night of a back-to-back, Kyle. You surprised to hear that he's back after it seemed like
I kind of thought they were just punting the rest of the season with him and AD. So
yeah.
I am really impressed by the fact that he was able to get ejected from a game for the Wizards before he even debuted for the team. That was a fun subplot the other night. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I guess we'll see how he looks out there. I wonder how the rest of these young guys will. Like, I think he'll help Sarr specifically.
And he hasn't been playing
with him. Yeah. So I think there are guys on that team that I look to and I say that there's a natural hand in glove fit, and the type of things that Trae is good at, he'll lift them up. I'm a little less enthused for our guy, Trae Johnson, although, a shooter who can space the floor and just get a bunch of catch and shoot looks. Trae, the older Trae can get younger Trae some quality looks that maybe he's having to work harder for right now. But yeah, I'm pretty stunned that he's actually going to play.
I agree.
Also, the timing. You said they're playing the Jazz, right?
Yes.
That's the team immediately behind them in the standings. And again, the top four worst records, there's no difference in odds. So it doesn't matter where you fit. Now, the Jazz are still 2 wins behind them, and the Jazz are pretty aggressively tanking. Even still, if you're the Wizards, you don't want to win this game. This is like the exact game you don't want to win because dropping down lessens your odds. So it's the timing of it's a little weird.
It is.
I don't mean to tell people how to tank, but
Yeah, I guess they just
have some experience with it.
They couldn't tell him he couldn't play, so he's just like, I just want to get out there and play. I am surprised that he's playing. I thought he was done for the year. We'll see him next year. He and Anthony Davis make their debut together, and that's that. So we'll see. We'll see what he has against the Jazz. Second night of a back-to-back. Isaiah Collier, linebacker, shoulder in the chest of Trae Young on his first game back tonight in Washington. All right, Bree, what else do we have here on news and notes? This is the one that Kyle wanted to really talk about. So
how dare you bring this nonsense on?
I don't know if any of you have seen this one, but this was a wild one. So Kyle, you have at it with this one.
Ohio's Great Wolf Lodge is launching a limited time ranch dressing milkshake.
Nope, absolutely
topped with crispy chicken, carrots, celery, and whipped cream.
This is straight out of Fear Factor. You could not get me to do this for money.
I don't say this lightly, especially right now. That's domestic terrorism. That every single person involved with creating that should be in jail or a psychiatric ward. And my wife has like a weird, completely inexplicable vendetta against the state of Ohio. Honey, I finally understand you. You were right all along.
I mean, look, compared to some things that have recently been labeled domestic terrorism, that definitely qualifies. That clears the bar. Man. No way.
Well, we sit to each other, and Kyle sent it to us in the group chat, and we were like, hell no. It's a full cup of ranch dressing, and on
I don't even like ranch in general. I don't want to eat ranch, period. Let alone a damn milkshake size thing of it.
Oh, let me put 2 pieces of chicken on a toothpick to make it seem like that's going to do anything with some carrots. Are you kidding me?
I was waiting for Bree. Don't tell me you would have this.
Oh.
Okay. I was just making sure. I was making sure this was a unanimous across the board. get the hell out of here type of thing.
That's bad.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
You have restored my faith, not just in this show, but in humanity.
I
Thank
think you
you
knew
all.
Devon and I would be out on
Yeah,
that one. We were.
That's
Clear.
That's it.
There's no way.
What, are you supposed to drink that? I mean, I mean, come on. That's bad.
We had a super chat earlier from Ramid, and I think there we go. Bree did a good job of starring it because it was separated.
Yeah.
And Ramid asked, the chances Morey and Nurse are gone with a first round exit.
I mean, first round, anything's on the table.
Yeah. I agree
I'm not
with
saying they will be gone, but it's certainly on the table.
I know we'll be if they're knocked out in the first round. You better believe that's one of our weekly our shows that week of are one or both of them gone after a first round exit, especially if it's not a competitive one. Ramid, yeah, we definitely talk about that.
Yeah, I think you miss the playoffs. Then it's like,
yeah,
you better be watching over your shoulder every day. If you make the playoffs and you lose in the first round, I still think it's in that same territory, but obviously we'd have to be like, well, what about the health and how'd they lose? And second round, I think it's a lot about the context. Do they just get bulldozed by somebody?
What if it's a Knicks series type game 6? Controversial stuff happened where we thought they could have won one or two of those other games. What if
That's never happened before.
What if it's a competitive series like that one that we saw in Nick Nurse's only playoff run with the Sixers? Then do they talk themselves into keeping both of them after something like that?
I could see it, but again,
I can see
there are
the
a lot
other
of
side.
Here's the other thing too, and this will be something we'll talk about on another time. I do think that there will be some eyes on OKC and what Jared does there as well. Like if they lose in the playoffs in kind of middling fashion, even if it's the second round, and then McCain has like a ton of big moments in the playoffs for the Thunder and they win their second title in a row. I'm not saying that'll be the decisive factor, but that would be something that will generate a lot of animosity here. And as we know, the Sixers organization is certainly not deaf to what is being said around the city and around the country about them. So I'd say wait and see, but first round exit, I think, would be tough to come back from for everybody. That's my suspicion.
For sure. I agree with you there. The other part, when you bring up the OKC piece, no way they wait until June, whatever, to find out how Jarrett plays to that point.
And once you get to June, it's real hard to make a change because you've got the draft in a couple of
right.
weeks.
So that would have to be an early exit, especially if they have their eyes on or just want to run through a lot of different candidates to talk to make that decision. So which is why Ramid, we're talking about what we're talking about right now, because with the record 34-28 behind us and looking at where they are right now with this 20 games remaining, there's a possibility that they are not in the top 6 come mid-April in that final basketball game against the Milwaukee Bucks. So we'll see. We shall see.
I will say, just real quick, because you brought it up, there are some fans who have gotten scolded for sell the team chance. And look, this isn't the kind of thing that comes down from like ownership or management.
No.
But like that's a very much an in-arena security decision. But shame on you. Like let fans, as long as they're not being,
if they're
really,
dropping F-bombs and stuff like that, like, okay, I could see the argument.
You have to deal with upset fans. That's part of the nature of sports. That's all.
That's it. All right. That'll do it for news and notes here on this Thursday. That'll do it for our PHLY Sixers podcast. We're off on Friday, back for the 5:30 pregame against the Atlanta Hawks on Saturday night. Right here, the whole team will be back with you. All right, let's get to the world famous roll call.
Thank you, everybody, for being here, including my very tired co-hosts who are hanging out here on the set today. I'm just as tired as is Bree. We're all just, these back-to-backs, man, are just
8 o'clock and 7:30.
They're a lot. And we've all had stuff going on this week outside of the Sixers where we're busy and we're running around, and it's tougher than it looks to sit in front of the cameras, folks. But we're so appreciative that you guys show up for us and with us.
Shout
so
out
we
Rita's.
can talk nonsense every day. Shout out to Rita's, the Wawa,
some boost,
all
energy.
our wonderful partners around here. Thank you guys. I'm not complaining. We're all a little bit tired today.
Not complaining. So we're just acknowledging.
So if we're a little tired and that reflected, we will be back with more pizzazz on Saturday for Sixers Hawks. That'll be a fun one. Big game Saturday night.
Yeah.
And one that they really need for morale, standings, whatever you want to say. Hopefully Joel and or Kelly and or VJ make it back for that one. Thank you to Arthur Coffey, Walter Phillips, Sean Sharp, Between and Unseen, Provolone John, Vince Pellegrini, Greeny Green, Antoine, Sean Comp, Taj, Cheese Boar.
Huh. I don't know that I know that one.
Lost Sleep TV,
What up,
Ramid.
Cheese? Remember when Cheese they dropped Cheese?
You want to know how tired I am right now? I wrote Rugine Ross like I'm Scooby Damn Doo over here. What's up, Rugine? Thank you to SB Cole, Philly Sheriff, Marcus Blackstock. You better love somebody.
Love somebody.
Thank you to Val, Jess, my girl Nona.
And Jazz.
Of
up,
course.
ladies?
Thank you to Reardon, Eden the Remix, X-Man, Theo, Darth Payne in the building.
We're in pain over here.
Coleman Potts, Maple, D Flyers. Thank you, everybody. Table Manners, Jay of the Jungle, Mom's grandchildren, all our wonderful people. Hey,
Aaron.
You guys always show up for us, and we appreciate that. On the way out, if you could please, Rugine, hit the thumbs up button on this video. It helps us out more than you guys could possibly know. Helps the whole channel, whole company out. It also makes Bree feel very good inside for holding it down on the other end. So say thank you to Bree. Also on the way out, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can get notifications each and every time we go live. As Eugene in the chat says, ruh-roh. Ruh-roh for me and all of us here. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Until Saturday night, Sixers Hawks pregame and postgame, I need you guys to enjoy your Friday. Stay safe. Take care of one another. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.